A friend got married recently, and she had this question to ask. If we are going to live together after marriage, how should we combine our finances? So here is what I told her, and I think this will be applicable to all of you. So first, as a woman, please decide whether you want to change your name or not change your name. Nothing, I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't. It's a choice that you have to make, but please make that choice very quickly and as soon as possible, because the longer you delay, the more all your investments and everything gets held up. So in case you are making a change in your name, you're going complete change. There are people who change just the surname. There are people who change the first name and the surname. Whatever you decide to do, make sure that all your documentation work is first completed before investing, which means your bank account and your PAN card have got to change. You have to give your new name. I don't know whether you open a new account or whatever, but that has to happen first before you make any investment. If you're not going to change, of course it's less complicated, but if you're going to change, make the change and then you should get into investing. Now obviously there are 2-3 methods of doing it. First, keep it solo. The husband has his account, the wife has her account. You spend whatever you want from each one and you don't bother. For some common expenses, you dip into each other's pool, which means you say, okay, the rent is 10,000 rupees, so I'll pay 5, you pay 5. That is one way of doing it, that you keep your account separate. The advantages are, in case of non-compatibility, you can't get along, and then splitting becomes easier. There is no doubt about that. You're very clear as to how much you're earning, what you're spending, and the balance is yours. Whether you claim whether you invest for ATC, whatever you do, all that remains with you. You don't need to tell anything to your husband, but that is one way of doing it. The husband also similarly doesn't have to. Now, disadvantage here is if there is a huge gap between what the husband makes and what the wife makes. Let's say the wife is the earning member, and she is earning about 1.5 lakhs per month, and he is still not started earning fully, or he's completed his earning whatever, and he's earning 75,000 per month. It is fairly obvious that person earning 1.5 lakhs may have a bigger budget for travel and all those things. How does this person cope up with? Does the person earning less say, I can't afford it, so we don't do? Or does the person earning more subsidize this person? These are questions that you have to answer yourself. Second is to have a semi kind of an approach where the husband has his account, the wife has her account. Apart from that, you open a new account where both of you contribute to meet the household expenses, travel, everything, where you say, okay, the wife is earning more than the husband, so she will contribute also more. So she will contribute, say, 60% of her income, and you will also contribute 60% of your income. So the wife contributes 60,000 because she is earning 1 lakh per month, and the husband contributes 30,000 because he is earning 50,000 per month. I'm just giving you some numbers. So this way, what can happen is both of you can be sure that you're having a good standard of living, or a reasonable standard of living, and you're both paying according to your ability. This sounds fine for expenses. Similarly, you can have another account, or in the same account you can put common pool the resources and start doing investments from there. So if it is the husband's money, then the husband's name should be first, the wife's name should be second, and the husband's mother or father should be the nominee. Right? It's very simple to understand, because in case something happens to both of you, at least somebody in the family will get it. If it is her money, then it should be her name first, then the husband's name second, and then her parents. I mean, could be mother, father, whoever, and they should be the nominee. There are 2 ways to doing it. The third way is to say, I'll combine everything. It doesn't matter. We have combined our lives, so money should not be a problem. Combining money should not be a problem. All of them have their advantages and disadvantages. The advantages are that the first one is very simple to implement. The second one seems to be more fair, and the third one is saying everything is ours, whether it is yours or mine, it is ours. That is the third method of doing it. The disadvantages of the third method is, in case of a split or a divorce, then it looks very difficult to break it, because the finances are too enmeshed, right? So those are the advantages and disadvantages of doing it. It's your call. Second, it is important that both of you take term insurance, because you do not know when the need will arise. If you have decided to get married, if you have decided to live together after marriage, you're not in different geographies, you're staying together, chances are that if you want a kid, the kid will happen. So when people are asked that, I wish I had more insurance, you can never wish you had more insurance. You have to take it when it is available to you, given your health conditions, right? So take term insurance, and in case you buy assets like a house, then you have to enhance the term insurance. So do those kind of things. And then there again, there will be some mixture, because the risk is on the wife. If something were to happen to the husband, the risk is on the wife. Similarly, if something were to happen to the wife, the risk is on the husband. So if you have borrowed money to buy a house, buy a car, etc., and you think only one person earning will not be sufficient to pay it off, then there is absolute necessity for the two people together to take insurance for her, with him as a beneficiary, to take insurance for him with her as the beneficiary. It is necessary to do that. It is preferable and necessary to do that, right? Yeah, I think so. Thank you. So having spoken about the three methods of how to combine finances, the one very important question is, what is suitable for this particular girl who called me? Well, it depends on very many factors. It also depends on, how does money make you feel? Do you feel secure with money, insecure with money? Have you seen your father fret and fume over money? Does it make you insecure about it? What do you think about budgets? There could be a guy who is very meticulous in writing down every rupee that he spends, and a girl who may be very careful with her money but does not do any accounting. Then in case, again, there is a difference of personality. Do you have any debt? Which, we talked of how the bank accounts and the assets have to be combined or kept separate. But what about debt? What about if she having a debt and he having a debt? Both of them have taken loans for their education. Who repays it? Who takes the responsibility for repaying it? And what are your financial goals? If your financial goals are subservient to his goals, let's say you're a woman and you have a goal that you will retire at the age of 45 or 50 or things like that, and then maybe your installments or SIPs are all going and you are headed towards that. What happens if he wants to say, I want to retire at the age of 70? So first of all, sit down and find out what are your goals, and then decide how you are going to invest. And after that, you can decide whether she will make a 3,500 per month SIP and he will make a 3,500 per month SIP, or will you combine it and do a 7,000 per month SIP with both of your names, right? So find that out. Find out how will you react to a windfall today, right? Somebody who gets a windfall might say, oh, I'll quit my job. Fine. But again, it could be just a matter of time when they're saying this, because even if they do get some huge amount of money, they may want to spend a little, save a little, invest a little, right? They may want to do all those things. So find out how he wants, what she wants. Depending on that, how much is your credit card score, or do you not even know what is the credit card score? That is even worse, right? So find out the credit card score and find out how has been the past behavior towards debt. That you will know. How much is the current net worth of the people? How much are your assets? How much are your liabilities, right? You need to know that before you decide whether to combine or not to combine. Thank you.